folks, we'll now move on to our next topic. As I opened up today's community connection, I told you we have three unique opportunities. Well, we talked about Festival of Trees. Now let's talk about our four-legged friends. Earlier in the week when I was doing my daily show, I had an opportunity to meet somebody with an extraordinary organization. It was centered around a dog that was literally saved on the streets of Detroit, where there is a serious stray problem. And for all of us that love our pets, as I love mine, you can't imagine that there are people that would abandon a pet. You can't imagine what it's like to see these strays walking the street. And how many of us have seen an animal, especially a dog, but certainly not to discount cats as well, on the street and wondered, is that a homeless pet? Well, here's the good news. There's an organization out there that you can reach out to, that you can help, that you can donate to as well, that you can say, I made a difference in my furry friend's life, and I've yet to meet a pet that all of us didn't love. Joining me now is Alexis Richards. She is with a wonderful organization called Dog Aid, actively involved, one of the 8 founding members, and we welcome her to Community Connection this morning. Alexis, thanks so much for being with us.
You're welcome, Tony. Good morning.
Well, you know, it's really interesting because we often don't think about, in a difficult economy, what happens with pets. And you and I both know that there are times, Alexis, that people have to choose between feeding themselves or their children and feeding their pets. And it may not be something that people want to hear, but it is a reality.
It is. It absolutely is. And that's where we come in. We're really trying to work with the community. We're out in the neighborhoods every week. We're speaking to the citizens. What can we help you with? And we are finding there are a lot of families out there that are struggling. They can't afford the pet food. They can't afford routine veterinary care, the necessary vaccinations that their dogs need. And that's where we come in. We've got a list of families that we service, and they call us up. They tell us we need help with food, and every week to 2 weeks we check in with them. We load our cars up, we make our rounds, and we drop off supplies. We drop off big bags of dog food, dog treats. If they don't even have the basics for their dogs, such as a collar, a leash, dog bowls, whatever they need, we take to them. We also will help them with vaccinations. We can steer them towards low-cost or free clinics, or we'll just pay for the vaccinations ourselves, utilizing our vets. And then a big component also is educating them on the importance of spaying and neutering their pets. And if they can't afford to do that themselves, then we go ahead and get those services for them as well.
All right, let me just read something to this audience because I think it helps to kind of bring this full circle. Dog's Aid mission is centered on educated citizens on proper pet ownership, proper vetting, and the importance of spaying and neutering their pets. Dog Aid provides emergency care for stray dogs who have been injured, have suffered serious neglect and or health issues, and assists low-income families in the city of Detroit with food supplies, vet care for their pets. I want people to understand something before we say another word, Alexis, and that is you are a non-judgmental group. If somebody needs you, you are there for them.
Absolutely. We are there 100% for them. You hit it right on the head there. We don't judge. We understand that times are tough, and we just want to make sure that the dog, and we do help families with cats as well. So we want to make sure that the pets have what they need. We are not going to let a pet go without. And if the family contacts us, we're going to go out and meet with them and, assess the dog. We always, look at the dog, see what sort of condition it is in and what that animal needs.
I've got to ask, and because I made an assumption, and I don't think it was an improper assumption, but I would think that as the economy got very, very challenging, there was a greater need for what Dog Aid did. Am I right on that?
You're absolutely right. And the 8 of us were all involved in other rescues, and we were rescuing dogs and getting them rehomed. And we realized you can rescue a dog and rehome it all day long, but there is a greater need out there. And there are the families that need the help. There are the families that need to be just a little bit more educated on the importance of vaccinations and spaying and neutering. Not all people realize how important it is to get your dog spayed or neutered. We're trying to prevent more and more unwanted litters being born, and then therefore more dogs ending up on the street.
Well, you know, and of course you came to my attention through a story that was told in the Detroit Free Press about a dog, Andy DiDeRossi, who is the founder of the Detroit Dog Company, found a stray. And, you know, long story short, people can go to the Free Press and certainly find that story. But Alexis, one of the things we found out about this dog that was rescued is that he had probably had a litter, and that litter probably ended up dying. And we don't want stories like this to be the reality, because there are opportunities to help these animals.
Absolutely. There are just so many dogs on the street that are suffering, and we can't be animal control, and we can't be out there picking up every stray dog on the street, but a part of our mission is to provide these emergency services for the dogs that are in just critical situations, the dogs that are starving to death. They suffer just like we do. Starvation is a very painful process, and we also help those that are seriously injured. When Andy DiDeRossi came upon Andy, she was in very obvious bad shape. She was severely emaciated. You could see all of her bones. She was dehydrated. She had an eye infection. And like you said, she had a litter. When we first got her, we thought that she may still be pregnant. As it turns out, our vet fully examined her, and we figured out that she had probably already had the litter, and due to her body condition, that litter probably was stillborn. She was so emaciated that her system, her intestines literally had started shutting down. They weren't processing food. She could not move anything through her bowels. So it was a sad story, but we are getting her healthy. We got her intestines working again and things flowing properly. We are addressing several infections that she had due to the pregnancy. And unfortunately, she is heartworm positive, which is another big thing we're seeing coming out of the city of Detroit. Almost all of the dogs are turning up heartworm positive, which is a life-threatening condition. And we also are big advocates for heartworm preventative. We, tell the pet owners how important it is to get your dog in a heartworm preventative.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask very, very quickly. Do you only rescue within the city of Detroit, the city limits proper, or if you get a call from Livonia or Westland, do you also take care of those?
We tend to stick within the city of Detroit. That's where our focus is. That's where the big need is. Some of the, we do from time to time, we'll go into, we've gotten some calls from Inkster and Westland, and those calls we typically tend to respond to are the emergency cases. Like I said earlier, there are just so many dogs on the street, and we just cannot get to each and every dog. But the ones that are in really serious bad shape, we definitely get the proper vetting for those dogs. We get them healthy again. We don't want them to be suffering and dying alone on the street.
All right, let me get out some information. First of all, you're going to find them on Facebook. If you search Facebook at DogAide, DOGAIDE, they have a hotline, and that hotline number is 313-744-6DOG. That's 313-744-6DOG. And last, you can send an email, DogAide, that's DOGAIDE at dogaide.com. And I really want to stress to people that you, of course, are always welcoming donations, perhaps donations of food, donations of time. Perhaps you might need somebody to house a dog. I would imagine all these people would be helpful to you.
Oh, absolutely. Our greatest need right now is foster families. When we get a dog, we have to have a place for that dog to go until it gets adopted into its new forever home. So typically when we get a dog and it's in, it's in a serious emergency state, it needs bedding, we take that dog in. It, depending on the severity of the condition it's in, it will stay with our vet for however many days it needs. we do have a temporary kennel. It's just a 10 by 10 kennel where we can put the dog in while we get it a little bit healthier before it can be moved to a foster home. But we're foster based. We don't have a facility, so we need the people willing to foster. Some other areas that the community can help out with, like you said, are donations either financially or food and supplies.
Absolutely.
We have.
Absolutely. Alexis, unfortunately, we're just out of time. I do want to let people know again on Facebook, just search for Dog Aid, AIDE. The hotline number again is 313-744-6DOG, and the email dogaid@dogaid.com. Alexis, thank you so much. Such an important story to be told this time of year. We don't want any animal to go without, and thank God that Dog Aid is there. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Tony.
I appreciate it. All right, welcome to our last guest. I got to tell you,